Hello, welcome to Time Startup. My name is Forrich. I'm a PhD candidate here at WPI and I'm doing entrepreneurship. And we're here with Ardian Preci, the director of the i3 Lab, the new incubator of the WPI. And today we want to talk about his experience being an entrepreneur himself. It's time.
It will be fun to be on the other side of to be interviewed rather than doing the interviewing, and share some experiences, life story, whatnot,
Right.
and hopefully people will find it useful.
Yeah. So for this episode, the goal is so that everyone can know about us a little bit more, so that we're not just some random guy talking about entrepreneurship. So we actually have some experience, and we would like to dig into a bit.
We have a lot of
more.
experience.
Right.
Yeah. No, we do. We know what we're talking about,
All right. So
and we like what we're doing.
Yeah,
That's
we
also
do.
very
We really do.
Not only we know what we're doing, we
Yeah.
also really like what we're doing. We enjoy what we're doing, and we are. What's the new word that people in the zone?
Locked in.
Because we're locked in and in the zone because we enjoy. I'm trying to pick up on the
No way.
new lingo of students, so I can speak, the language of the future, so they can understand on their own terms too.
Actually, this is like
It's important, right?
I know it's
Also, from if you're an entrepreneur, it's important to understand the language of your customer, your the people that you work with and collaborate. You need to understand the way they talk, the way they are, what takes them, and also their culture. People might do business, I don't know, in different cultures, so that's a big part.
Yeah. Just like a side piece of story that I had recently. I went to an event with you at Auxilium, which is a new incubator, which is like a meeting with a lot of professors from different schools in Worcester, right? And they were all like, in their 50s, 40s, and they would just keep saying 6, 7, 6, 7 all the time.
Yeah, we're the sort of the older generation. We're dying to fit in.
Yeah. It was pretty funny to me, but that's good. Good for you guys. Good for you guys. Learning, to keep up with the wave. That's great. All right, so let's get into it then. Can you tell us about your experience building a company, or how many companies you have built already?
I've been at WPI now for about 3 years. I am an alum of WPI now. I did my MBA here, which is nice. I started it for fun because I thought I never got around to do an MBA because life got busy, and I really enjoyed it. So I recommend to anybody who hasn't done one and it's kind of in middle age, late 30s, early 40s, and say, hey, should I get an MBA or not? Do it. It's fun. And you'll learn a lot. Even though you think in the beginning, I might know a lot of stuff because I've been around for a bit, you learn a ton. But before that, my life, my background, I've been in sales, business development, and startups. That's my world. That's my life. I've started businesses initially as a necessity. So, as everybody knows who knows me, I'm Albanian. I moved to London, England when I was 17 years old. And then I did all sorts of jobs in my life, all legally, thankfully. It's true. I started my first ever job in England. I was washing dishes, which I say this story proudly because it's kind of, work is work, and hard work, it's good and pays off, and it doesn't matter, where you come from. You got to live, you got to pay rent, you got to do what you have to do. So I worked on building sites, then I worked as a waiter in coffee shops for a long time as I was trying to go to school and stuff. So, and I've learned a lot to kind of think quick, be good, do good customer service. And you have to do customer services for a buck tip. Then you should be able to do great customer services when your customers are paying you a good lot of money later on when you have a business. So everything you do, you work hard and you learn from it, and then you can apply it later at other things that you do.
Yeah.
So And I moved here in 2011. But before we go there, it's like when I finished my first degree in England, it was the 2008 financial crisis. So nobody was hiring.
It's the bond crisis, right?
Yeah, the whole financial system was down. A bunch of big banks were closed. And because I was supporting myself, I hadn't really done a lot of internships because I had to go back to my evening work and go to school during the day. So I couldn't benefit from doing internships because I had to pay rent. So I was stuck. So I started my first gig as a local consultant. I wanted to consult startups, even though I knew, like comparatively to now, really not much. But I thought I could teach them about marketing, and I had a whole theme of how to help local governments help ethnic minorities get into business, because then they wouldn't be a burden in in the local governments, so they could go there and build businesses and stuff. So fast forward, I moved to the U.S. as you do, from London to Worcester because I got married and all that fine stuff. I love Worcester now. In the beginning, I'm like, what's going on? And then I got working for Liberty Mutual, selling insurance. Which I'm like, what am I doing in the beginning? But I've learned a lot there. I've learned everything American style pretty quickly, urgency and sales. And I was a very good networker even before that and relationship builder. But I didn't fully understand the urgency of closing a sale, which at some point we'll talk about sales in this podcast. And I've learned that while working for Liberty Mutual, because it was a high-paced sale. You got to get people to say yes and close the deal pretty quickly. And then in the beginning, it was funny because I thought I sold a ton because people promised me a lot of stuff. And then when it came to closing the deal, people weren't answering their phones. And I didn't hit any of the quotas in the first month, and I was devastated. And then my manager back then, he goes to me, it's only called a sale once somebody signs on the dotted line and gives you a check. Otherwise, it's a promise. And that I never forgotten that. And now, like, even I took that to my businesses later. Like, only when you give me a check, then it's properly closed. So then I started my business in 2015, selling insurance. I started my own agency with a partner here in Worcester. Did really well. We hustled because that's what you have to do in business. Hustle a lot. And we thought we knew everything about insurance because we had worked in the industry for a bit. And we knew how to sell.
Which insurance it is? Health insurance, right?
No, it was auto and home insurance. And business insurance. So we thought we knew everything about insurance because we knew how to sell. But we didn't know much about the business management, the operations, the day-to-day. So we thought we know about 90% of this. We'll learn the 10%, which is fine. Then we set up shop, and then we figured out pretty soon that we know probably about 15%. We knew the sales, we knew the product, but not how to manage a business. So we really had to learn a lot very quickly. And we just, books, those things, the old archaic stuff, wonderful things. So we just tried to pick up any book around business operations, management styles, what you do, what's important, what's not. And we went from there. And I sold that business to my partner 3 years after.
Nice.
And I moved into tech.
Nice.
Not knowing
That's
much
great.
about tech.
No, just sold it, so it's good. All right, so I actually want to step back a little bit and ask you about your experience on this in general, because you said you went into corporate too, and then you also did your own startups. What was the culture like? Or, I'm sure the responsibility is always different, but what was the culture like? Is it easier for you to work in corporate, or is it easier for you to just be your own boss and then do it with your friends?
So I've done it on both sides, 4 times now, or I think about 4 times. So like work for corporate, do your startup, work back for a corporate. It's 2 different things completely. Each of them give you different experiences and different expertises that they're both super valuable. And I'm not saying this from a sort of political correct type of stuff. I love startups. It drives me, gives me adrenaline and all that stuff, and that's why I love this job here, because even though I'm working full time, but it gives me the same adrenaline because I'm working all the student startups, and every day is kind of new ideas. What are we working? How are we moving that forward? When you're working for a corporate, you get some training, and I recommend it at some point in their life. It's beneficial to everybody to have a little bit of corporate experience, because you get trained on certain stuff that if you just go straight into your business, it's good. You have a lot of freedom. It's hard to create discipline, because when you're in your own boss, nobody's going to tell you, wake up in the morning at 7 o'clock or 6 every day, and you got to go to work. You can skip work, and by the end, at the end of the month, you're going to be short in sales and operation, in business and everything. Whereas when you're working in corporate, you're sort of forced into that channel of getting disciplined. Understanding, I've seen people that haven't done corporate jobs not even knowing how to use the Outlook calendar. I mean, we're a WPI, so it's an institution. Here is different. Everybody knows how to do that. But somebody who just stumbled on their businesses and whatnot and whatever, they're very successful. It's just like, hey, give me a call. Yeah, sure. See you next week, type of thing. I'm like, hey, I have no invite from you. So not understanding if sometimes even those basic things. I know people that make $1 million a year in revenue, and they don't use a CRM for their customers and knowing, like, hey, keeping some notes on them and figuring out, and it's just like it's all in their head. And I'm like, what if you did 3 things differently? But it's that lack of corporate culture and understanding. So both of them have that benefit.
Interesting. So I would like to quote someone that I know. He is an entrepreneur that he came out of a PhD lab in medicine. So, very bright guy. He knows a lot of stuff. He said startup is the hardest job in the world. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, so absolutely. So startups is, it's kind of, so when I went into sales, I'll go back to Liberty Mutual. My boss back then, he was a super smart guy. He goes, hey, when you go into sales, you don't need to work a full day. You can only work half a day. It's fine. And half a day, we're thinking that it's kind of sort of 4 hours. And he goes, doesn't matter which half you work, the first 12 or the second 12, because you have to really work a lot in sales. In startups, it's even more than that. So in startups, you leave a 9 to 5 job to actually work 24 hours. The upside of that, which is like, it sounds absolutely insane when you just say it. You live a 9 to 5 job, but you can go home at 5 o'clock. You usually check out. It's not that easy, but usually you check out at 5 o'clock. You're like, okay, now I'm going to start replying to things in the morning or whatever. And then you go to being on 24/7. And you think, okay, you have to be absolutely mad, otherwise why would you do that? But the upside of that, the adrenaline you get while you're building your business, the amount of excitement and enjoyment you get as you're building, as you're progressing, it doesn't feel like work. And it sounds, and you will only understand it once you go through it. And yes, you'll wake up and you'll reply to emails at 3 in the morning, and you go to a meeting at 10 at night or whatever weird times. It feels fine. You're on vacation and you're going somewhere, whatever. Like now, I have children and a family, and I used to be on vacation with my kids and my wife, and they're at the beach, and I'm at the lobby trying to get signal and to make a phone call, make sure that I don't lose a client because something has happened, or make sure I'm talking to my team because we got 3 features on our product coming up, and I want to be there because I want to make sure that they're happening, and so on and so forth. So it's not that you get forced to work 24/7, but you want to.
Right, because if anything goes wrong, it's your fault, right?
Because you're accountable.
You're the boss, right?
Especially once you're within that startup stage, because you usually have an agile team. You don't have a million people doing things. You're just wearing too many hats, so it's just go all the time.
Interesting. So I want to go back to your first startup though. well, you said you came out of necessity because it was a financial crisis, and well, you said you didn't know anything, but you actually got some degree on it, right? So you actually know something, and then did the first job there. My question would be, do you think it would be good for you to just like go out there and do it, learn it along the way, or get more degrees, or get into industry first, get more experience, then start up later? So that's two options. Get more experience, get credibility, do startup, or just get out there, do it, and learn.
So it all depends also in what field
Yeah.
the startup is. And for example, if it's a deep tech,
Yeah.
you're gonna need a team that
Right.
has
Right.
different understanding. So then it becomes, how do you assemble a good team? I've always been an advocate of going out there, jumping on the pond and swimming and
Okay.
learning how to swim.
Yeah.
I say this a lot of times to students and to everybody. I can give you 15 books right now, so you can read about swimming and all the great techniques about swimming. But unless you jump on the pond, you're really not going to apply anything from those books. And once you learn how to swim,
Yeah.
then those books might help you to improve those swim techniques because you're already in the pond swimming. But if you stay on the shore all the time and just keep reading the book, so
Yeah.
education is very important. And I'm not saying this only because we're at a
Right.
at a higher ed institution, but it's very important. It's very helpful. They both go together. So if you bring theory and education and bring the practical side where you go and do it, and you join those two together,
Yeah.
you become super rock solid.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of people who have either one or the other. So imagine when you combine these two things, you become a rocket in the startup world. Because
Right.
there's a lot of successful entrepreneurs who don't have a lot of, education,
Yeah.
and they're super successful in doing great, which is
mhm.
good. And there is a lot of people who have a lot of schooling, if I can say, or which is great, but not they haven't gone down the road, and they don't fully understand and grasp the entrepreneurship because of the reason, and it's normal. It's something that you haven't done, so it's hard for me to. If somebody tells me like, "Hey, let's go skiing," I don't ski. And I'm like,
Yeah.
do you understand how great it is? I'm like, no, I understand the part where you sit at the bar and look at the ski resort in the snow and you have a beer. That's the part I fully understand. The part coming down with the skis, I don't, because I have never skied. I understand some other stuff. So that's kind of having the practical experience on those two things. And if you have both of them together, it becomes a really solid foundation
Yeah.
for being a really great entrepreneur.
I agree. This might be a hot take, but I really think everyone in the school right now, in the universities, anyone in the university, any university can just go out there and build their own startup now. I really think it will help them, to learn how to do a lot of things, because startups take a lot of operational skills. And most of the entrepreneurs I talk to, after they graduate, if they just go out there and do startups, it's really hard for them because the degree universities, the university only taught them one small thing. Well, it's not a small thing. It's really, really specialized thing that I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but that specialized thing will help you later on, right? But at the end of the day, there's so many things about startup that you don't know about when you're inside the university. And that is what I'm trying to say is, if you're in university, you should just like get out there, do something, and then just do it so that you learn about it, because this is a safe space. Sometimes people see safe space as something that's just too comfortable and they don't want to do anything, just do everything by the book, get a degree and get out, go into employment. But the way I see it is, if you're in university, if I can go back in time and then do my undergrad again, I would just start my own startup and do it inside university, because there's no risk, right? Because what if you fail? You fail and you fail, and it doesn't matter. So you still get a degree, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I tell students, especially all the time, and they come in and they go like, some of them, some are very energetic and they want to do it, and some of them
Mhm.
they're scared. Should I do it or not? Like I
Yeah.
had this case, actually, what was it Monday, and the students like, if I do this, I don't know if I do that, and I sometimes mess around with them
Mm.
intentionally just to have fun. I'm like,
Yeah.
do you have any children? And they're like, 90% of them, of course they don't, because they're
Mm.
18 or 20 or something. They go,
Yeah.
no, of course we don't. I'm like, your mortgage, is it? How big is your mortgage? They go, I don't have
Yeah.
a mortgage.
Mm.
I'm like, you're on top of the world. You're the best time
Yeah.
in your life to try things, to fail, to experiment. Your 20s
Mm.
should be your experimentation stage. You do all the
Right.
mistakes within reason, all the mistakes you can
Yeah.
in startup, in jobs, in life too, in relationships to a certain extent, and you figure out life. You figure out who you are and who you want to be.
Right.
And you might figure out that you don't want to be in the startup scene. However, you'll have a lot of understanding around how startup works, how entrepreneurship works, how business works, and you can become a way better employee than the person sitting next to you with the same grades, from same engineering
Mm.
background or whatever background you are, or business background or whatnot, because you'll understand things from a different perspective and different level. And then when you hit your 30s, you played with that,
Right.
you stabilize. Let's say you never want to have a startup. You played with it, you figured it out, you learned a lot. You learned a lot in life. You partied enough. You went to enough clubs. You did all the things. You
Yeah.
got it out of the system, and you have a really good job. You go up the ladder or whatever you do, and you have a stable life. Versus, you don't do any of these because you're scared. You
Right.
wait until you're 40 or 45, sort of a middle-aged person. You have a bunch of mortgages, some car loans,
Mm.
kids, school, this, that, and the other, and you're
Yeah.
like, I always wanted to do a startup, therefore I'm going to start now.
Mm.
And then if it fails, the stakes are a little bit higher
Right.
because your children have no food, and that's
Yeah.
become a problematic
Mhm.
situation. So that's why, like, you're young, you're never going to be as young as now. You're never going to have the same energy.
Mhm.
I think I still have plenty of energy, but I know I used to go to work all day and go and sell in the evening and go to network events
Mhm.
and then still be able to go to a party and still have a couple of glasses of wine and go home and do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, I'm energetic, I think, and around it, but I don't have the same energy I know of this
Right.
when I was 20 or 25 or 35. It's only normal.
Yeah. I get it. All right. We digress a bit, but
Yeah.
let's come back to the content that we planned to do. So we kind of established that startup is hard, but it's fine. There's risk-free thing inside university now, so just do it. But I want to go. I want you to look back into your experience and then tell us about what was the most challenging thing that you faced when running your own company. It could be anything, literally anything you felt.
So I'll answer that, but before I answer, when I say, I don't only say it to people within the university, do it because you're safe in the university.
Oh, yeah.
I say it across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. Doesn't matter if you're at a university or not at a university. If anybody listens to this
Okay.
podcast beyond the beyond WPI, do it. Go and do it. You'll have a lot of fun. If you fail, you have learned a lot. You'll learn way more than anything else in it.
Yeah.
So, coming back to your question of what's the biggest challenge, I have, because I played around a lot and I failed on a lot of little things. Somehow, at some point, I kind of learned how to ride the bike slowly.
Yeah.
It's like I learned how to swim a little,
Mhm.
so I knew some components. Okay, here's how you build a business. And biggest challenge for me was, it's kind of finding the right people, either when you're building with somebody else. Do you have the right match on your business partner? you complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I've assembled amazing teams, and I've assembled terrible teams, and they happen for different reasons. It's like we're not gonna get into it too much, but so assembling the right team is hugely important.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if you're in a small business or in
Mhm.
a large business, like the people that you bring to
Mm.
do that. And because I didn't have HR expertise
Yeah.
of anything, how do you interview people, how do you do things
Yeah.
like by the book, I looked for one thing, integrity.
Okay.
And then I look, okay, does this person have this integrity? Because everything else you can teach them. And what's their sort of work ethic? And then I looked beyond another thing. I'm like, okay, I'm interviewing this person, and this sort of became a personal thing for me. I wouldn't tell them if I wasn't, after we're done working, when the holidays, since we're around Thanksgiving right now, when holidays come around, would I want to have dinner with this person? Because you spend more time at work than at home.
Yeah.
So I always want to work with people that
Mm.
after work, I'm not running away from them.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
And that sort of, those little things made it easy to cleanse once, let's say, a bunch of people apply and you're like looking for them. And yes, sometimes you do mistakes. So that first part, and then if it doesn't work out, cut ties pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The other bit is
I get
sell,
it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because sales cures everything.
Mm-hmm.
Sell, 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 and when you're tired, sell some more, and make sure you don't run out of money.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
often people think now we made it, we got a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of cash, we got a few clients, we're bringing some money in, and then we start, I don't know, doing merchandise, doing fancy stuff,
Yeah.
buying new laptops for everybody, doing whatever, doing retreats, and it's like you're a team of 5. You got a little bit of money, and
Yeah.
you're not doing retreats until you
Yeah.
get to a certain level. So
Mm.
making sure you stay very nimble in the beginning, try to watch your cash flow very carefully. I've seen more
Okay.
businesses die because of cash flow than anything else.
Okay.
You think we're doing great, and then 2 months somebody doesn't pay or clients leave all the time. It happens. It's normal in
Yeah.
life. And then you can't meet payroll
Okay.
and you're dead.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like you
Just
had a
go
good
under.
product, you had a good store, you had a good thing going on, but you have no more cash. The bank's not lending you. The financial markets change, rates change, things change, and you're like,
Mhm.
you choke. So
Okay.
making sure you stay within your means.
Okay. So hiring and cash flow. Right.
Hiring, cash flow, and selling.
Oh. Okay. And selling.
Yeah.
All right.
Sell.
I want to ask you though about hiring because it's just I don't really know about all these things, but you seem to be on the side of hiring for culture, right? You know,
Yes.
compared to like just skills only. So, and I have heard people that say hire fast and fire fast if you don't like someone.
Hire slow, fire fast.
Hire slow. What can you want to explain more about that?
So hire slow. So be very careful. Look
Mm.
carefully when you're hiring people.
Okay.
Look at all these things. Look, anybody can build a nice resume.
Mm-hmm.
AI can build a nice resume now.
Yeah.
And actually, we're in an age of larger corporations have a huge problem now
Mm.
because there's this program scanning bunch of resumes. So you might miss out on a lot of good candidates because you're not even talking to them, and it's
Right.
impossible. So it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But, you can teach skills
Yeah.
depending on what business it is, but you can train
Mm.
for the most part pretty much people to do certain things.
Yeah.
You cannot change character, and that's a big
Mm.
deal.
Interesting.
Somebody
Yeah.
and also, for example, somebody could be really hardworking
Mm-hmm.
and they could be very driven, but with a flawed character.
Mm-hmm.
They'll damage your business,
Mm.
and actually they'll damage your business more because they're very driven. So they'll be very driven to do more damage quicker. So that matters a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Is it easy? No. It's at some point you have to go to your gut feeling, and then
Yeah.
if things go bad, then that's why you take your time to hire,
Mm.
and you fire pretty quickly. It's kind of like if you get in the wrong train, the
Yeah.
sooner you get off it, the less the damage.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say there are two people walking inside the room right now, and then one person is like, best of the industry, knows everything about industry, biggest experience ever. Another person is just know nothing, really good guy, mess up all the time. The first guy is just like terrible person. Who would you hire?
Well, depending, maybe neither.
Okay.
Because
that wasn't an option, but
but
that's correct
well,
answer.
Because you gotta look. Okay, the ambitious person with the terrible attitude. Depending on the position and all that stuff, because everything is case by case. But also you gotta look. Okay, depending of if the person doesn't have experience, is a 20-year-old with a great attitude that is really good at school and doing great things but doesn't have experience, or is 35 years old and with no experience. If he's 35 years old and no experience, then it becomes difficult because like, hey, what have you been doing so far? So that means it's like, okay, you might be a good guy but maybe a bit lazy, who knows, So you gotta. So that's why I'm saying maybe neither.
Yeah.
But there's always people in between.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So
yeah,
you're looking for those people.
It's never
in
the
between.
two extremes, right?
Yeah, never the two extremes.
Yeah. Let's talk about the cash flow a little bit more. So, if I am starting my own company right now, which we're doing something under stealth, but how do I make sure that we have enough runways for us to live? I don't know, for as long as we can. How do we make it so that we can sustain this business?
Oh, so well, there's two ways. So I bootstrapped a lot of my businesses. I've only raised money for one that wasn't successful, and thankfully I gave half of it back because it wasn't. And I was lucky there too, because my investors didn't lose money and all that stuff. But so you bootstrap. If you're bootstrapping means basically you're putting up the money, sweat equity, you're putting all the hours, and you're just building a business. Whereas a startup that's venture backed, it's somewhere that you go and raise money from investors, and so on and so forth. So depending on what route you go to, you're trying to do as much as you can while spending as little as you can. No, you have to spend because otherwise you're not going to build a startup. But you watch that very religiously. Yeah. That every penny goes where it needs to go. Right. And if you're building let's say, a software as a service, which my experience and expertise is around, it's like you have to spend on hosting in AWS or Google Cloud platforms or whatever these things are. You have to spend there. There's no going around it. How much can you do in-house? Yeah. How can you, for example, you're around universities and WPI, can you utilize expertise affordable here? Yeah. Versus going and hiring your, cloud architect for 300K. Right, yeah. Can you hire fractional business services that will cost you a fractional cost? That's why it's called fractional, because you need that little expertise from them, and then the rest you can do in-house. Yeah, yeah. So you gotta get creative. Right. Interesting. Yeah. Y Combinator, Y Combinator is an accelerator in California, one of the best in the world, and they call this the 90-10 solution. What it means is that you should try to find the solution that give you the most benefit while also the least cost. Basically, the most cost efficient. You get the 90% out of the 10% that you paid for. Yeah. Basically. So to that point is, think, what would I do if I didn't have the money? For example, once you become a venture back, let's say you go into an investment, you raise some money through some angel investors, family, friends. A VC gives you a round, and you, let's say, raise $500,000. So automatically the urge is, it's just like a normal urge when you get a pay rise. It's like, where am I going on vacation? I got more money. I'm buying new shoes, and I want to change my car. That's it. Your money's gone. So same thing, because human psychology works very similar. When we're building a startup, like the minute you got money, it's like, what do we do with this now? Let's use it. How can you resist the temptation of that? So you have a pile of money now because you raised money. Yes, you're going to use it. But if you use the principle of like, if I didn't have the money, how would I get this done?
Mm.
And we're like, how can I get this done with 10% of the money, 15% of the money, and so on and so forth? Then you get creative.
Yeah.
So I have a friend of mine who has a startup where he had to get creative with offshoring and nearshoring for his team and serving his customers.
Mm-hmm.
And he has set it up in a way that if he had to hire all these people in the US for the work he does, he would have to close his shop. But because he's got sort of a three-way setup, he's got a team near the US, and he's got a team offshore in another country that does stuff that doesn't have to do with time zone. They don't have to pick up the phone and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he's doing stellar work for his customers. He's being able to be somewhat affordable for his customers and also turning good profit. And the teams that he's hired in these different countries, he's also paying them top dollar for their country. So those people are happy too. So that's his way of getting creative. Like, hey, I can do more of this. I know other people who are using pre-sales teams from different regions and to make it affordable.
Yeah.
That they use it as a lead generation that way. You do that here, it costs you a lot of money. So you get creative. The world is kind of becoming smaller and smaller, thankfully.
Yeah.
It's getting more interconnected, and it is more interconnected. The internet, everything. It's. I know there's a lot of doom and gloom in TV, but I think we live in a wonderful world as far as business goes. Is more interconnected than ever. So you can take more opportunities that way.
And I really think in startup world there are a lot of people who does the pro bono stuff. They will just help you without, you don't have to pay them, and they will just help you. You can reach out to a lot of people. I've done it before. I reached out to a lot of people on the Mass Founder Network, and so many people got back to me, said they're happy to talk to me about my startup, whatever, my research, or even, just like chat in general, So I really think the startup community everywhere is wonderful. When they have done startups, they has been their own, has been a founder of their own company. They went through something, and they have this, I don't know, connection together.
Yeah, because they understand the pain that you're going through. For example, if let's say I just went through raising $5 million and my company is doing well, and I know this, and it's my second time doing this, and I know the pain points of this sector, this industry, and then you show up with a product or a business, and you're struggling how to get in front of VCs, how to raise your first million or 500,000, or even do a service business. Doesn't matter what it is. I know the pain points of what it is to lock in the first customer, to lock in the first dollar investment. So it's almost kind of a duty of like, you got to show up and help, and you got to show up, at least give your feedback or your 2 cents of like know-how, like, hey, in my experience, this is how I did it. Let me connect you with these 3 people. Because it's like, I was there.
Yeah.
I was there at the gates of like, and they weren't open. I didn't have the key to like get my first customer in, my second, I didn't know how to pitch in front of investors. How do you do this? I had fears, all that stuff. So it's kind of almost like a duty. Every mentor out there, I know we talked in the last podcast around mentorship. Everybody who's in the entrepreneurship arena, every time I meet them, it's kind of like they feel that they have a little bit of duty to show up.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. It's wonderful, and America is full of positivity. That's my view in America.
That's
and
good.
I know it's kind of I don't know if it's other people see this, but like when it comes to business, I think it's the most positive country on earth.
That's great.
That's what I think.
Okay. All right. So so just an outro, what would be some piece of advice you want to give to people who are still hesitating to start their company, or students that are looking to start their company after they graduate from the universities?
So so that's a. It goes back to what we were talking earlier, but so I've told this story many times to people, and I say this to my friends. I say this to students. Imagine two scenarios. If you don't start a company, what are you going to do tomorrow morning? You're going to go and apply for jobs. Let's say you graduated. And what are you going to do? You're going to go and apply for jobs, get a job. You'll get a job, hopefully, and most people do, especially from WPI. You're definitely going to get a job, and you go to work. If you start a company and you fail, what are you going to do?
What are you gonna do?
You're going to go and apply for a job, and you get a job.
Yeah.
So if you start a company and it fails, you go back to where?
Mm.
To where were you going to be if you did nothing, pretty much,
Yeah.
which is not a bad spot.
Mm.
But imagine if you start a company
Mm.
and it works.
Yeah.
The beauty that comes with that.
Yeah.
The journey that you take.
Yeah.
The people that you meet. The businesses that you make.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different thing. So the worst case scenario, if you do a startup, you learn a ton
Right.
and you go back to getting it. And if you do a startup and it doesn't work, you learn a lot and you go back to working for somebody else, and you have learned a ton. So you have great skill set that you can utilize where you work for, and you become a way better employee and you progress in the career ladder. And in the the worst case scenario, you become a great employee, you progress quicker in the career ladder. Best case scenario, you start up,
Right.
flourishes,
Yeah.
and it's great.
It's
So
gonna be
there is
great.
no losing in this game.
Yeah.
It's only
yeah.
learning a lot
Right.
or winning. So
Yeah.
whatever you do, do it.
Not a financial advice, but yeah. I also want to add something though. People will always say that if you work in employment or in corporate, it's more stable. You're financially stable, right? But that's something that one of entrepreneurs told me. They said, they came out and then do a startup just like you when during the financial crisis too, and they said when you're inside a corporate, you are essentially betting on someone else because there's always risk inside the corporate, but you just don't know it because you're just an employee. But if you come out there, you're betting on yourself. If you think you can do it, it was just gonna be great.
Yeah, so to that point, I use the analogy, how the people say going up the career ladder.
Yeah.
And I joke around, I'm like, why not own the ladder? Like
Interesting. That's cool. That's a cool. Really cool
So
saying.
you can go up the career ladder, it's
Yeah.
fine, it's an option. Most people take it. But majority of people should take it because it's kind of, you have to be a little bit
Yeah.
eccentric to be an entrepreneur in some ways. But how much fun is actually owning the ladder? Not waiting for 30 years,
Yeah.
whatever, go through the ladder. Like, I'm just going to own my own ladder and paint it however I want it.
That's cool.
So that's fun too.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening for this 5th episode of Time to Startup. And we're here with Ardian Preci, the director of the I3 Lab at WPI, and we learned so much from him. A lot of good insights, a lot of from his experience.
And whatever you do, don't be scared of starting your own startup. You'll have a lot of fun.